basically the concept of like do people know how Google, for example, works? Like if you had a campaign and you wanted a campaign to talk about more community gardens in Montreal, how would you get that as being one of the top posts on top of Google? Does anyone?
Search, SEO, search.
Okay, SEO. What's SEO mean? I don't understand that.
Search engine optimization.
Okay, what does that mean to you?
It means that you're trying to work with keywords that will, when Google goes looking, that they will pop up higher up than others.
Right.
Now, how that's done?
You don't know.
No. I have an IT husband. I actually listen when he talks sometimes. I look good. But
You have a nerd for a husband. Awesome.
yes.
Nerds unite. Okay. So what it is it's tags. So the concept of like Google will like basically go through and pull out words and skip over common words, but we'll pick out specific words. So garden, local, Montreal. Now the reason why it's important to utilize social media is because things like Facebook, for example, and Twitter actually affect, because there's so many people on these sites that when you post something on Facebook and Twitter, it gets indexed that much more quickly in Google. So what you're doing is you're just kind of like secretly thinking about, oh, well, if I make a Facebook page, that the fact that Facebook has such a high rating in the Google results, by putting in keywords, it means that it was indexed and it will come up in Facebook that much quicker. And then people go to your Facebook page and then they find out more information. So, does that make sense?
How can you like both? Like some people, their Twitter, their tweet shows stuff on their Facebook page.
Okay, this is so this is what I was talking about with like connecting things. Is on okay. So if I had a blog or I had a website, for example. Okay, no, let's start with Twitter. I can answer your question first. There is I believe there is an add-on in which Twitter, you can hook in on Facebook. There's like an add-on that you just search, like an application, and then you put in your account details for Twitter, and then anytime you do a tweet, it will just immediately index that into Facebook and push it out.
The app is in Facebook?
Yeah.
It's on both. You can either side. You can use it.
Yeah. So now, why that is important is because you're basically doing it once, but you're actually doing it twice. So now that's one example. So it's like a Twitter application. So then, basically, when you're pushing out that data for your campaign, it's going out twice, which means you're actually getting it twice in Google. It's pretty sneaky.
It's a little bit wonky to share your Twitter and your Facebook because the jargon is different and there's functionality that's different. Because if you use @ in your Facebook account, it will name and create a link to other Facebook users that are your friends, which is the same on Twitter, but it's very unlikely that they're using the same usernames. So if you're taking a feed where you're naming Twitter followers, you're gonna have Twitter jargon in your Facebook feed that just doesn't look right. And also if you're using Twitter lingo, like the hashtags, plus you've got the 140 word character limitation on Twitter, all that stuff is going to show up in your Facebook, which is okay, but it kind of turns some people off. And you can go either way, because there's a Facebook application that will tweet your Facebook posts, or there's a Twitter application that will post your tweets, and there's also TweetDeck or Hootsuite or a couple of other services that can do both. But you want to be careful about who your public is, because some people like seeing their Twitter feeds in your Facebook posts, and some people don't want to see all the hashtags and everything else. And you kind of just need to know who your audience is.
Also, I've read that since the sites are so different, 5 posts a day on Twitter is okay, but if you do that on Facebook, you're actually spamming people, and they will more likely stop, they'll delete you rather than keep reading your updates. So there's a little, using each site you have to be a little specialized.
The nice thing about something like Hootsuite is you can actually
Yeah.
schedule your posts.
Right.
So you can actually, because you might have content that, you know, if you're only got 3 days or 3 hours in a day or whatever, you don't want to necessarily put all your tweets there. So you can punch them all in when you've got time to do it, but then schedule the deployment throughout the day. And you can also schedule which accounts it goes to. So you can do 5 tweets and 1 Facebook post and have it all scheduled. And that one Facebook post, you can decide that's going to be the one that doesn't have the hashtags, that doesn't have the @ stuff. And you can just sort of make it tailored a bit more appropriate. You can't do that with the native Twitter application or the native Facebook application, but you can definitely do it with Hootsuite and I think probably with TweetDeck.
Then there's another one for like RSS feed. So what an RSS feed is like on your website or like your WordPress blog, there's a feed at the top. Like in your browser, you'll see that little like orange symbol with the, it looks like this. It's like a little broadcast. What that is basically if you add that into your browser, it will show you anytime someone adds a new blog post. Now why this is good is because you can add your RSS feed into Facebook on your Facebook page. On your Facebook page, there's an application called RSS Graffiti. And you just add that RSS feed, and then anytime a new post comes from your RSS, it will automatically push it out to your Facebook page. So with organizations that have low budgets, these kinds of tools are really effective because basically you don't have to keep repeating the same process of like having to write a blog entry and then take half the content and post it on your Facebook page and send it out on an email list and like do all this stuff. You can actually just do it once and then it distributes it. And the more that you connect these things, the more tags that you get and the better search engine optimization you get. Flickr is social media, and when people start searching for specific issues or whatever, they'll come up with your photos on Flickr, and then you can add like a description to each photo, which is what a tactic I usually do. I add like a description and then I put a link to the actual website, so then it like indexes back and they can go back to your website to where the campaign is. And the difference between YouTube and Vimeo is that Vimeo doesn't have ads, I'm pretty sure.
And the video quality is better.
And the video quality is way higher, and you can upload bigger files. So, yeah.
So there's also automation for Flickr. So there's a Facebook app that goes both ways.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, your Flickr account can get posted automatically to your Facebook. Also, there's widgets in WordPress that can post automatically to your Flickr. You can get into ugly feedback loops where you're posting on your WordPress and it hits your Flickr and then it gets onto your Facebook page. But if you tag them well, that can be really useful.
Yeah, yeah. The key word today is tagging.
Because you'll see suggestions on how, because Google actually changes its algorithms all the time. They're changing their formula about what they respond to. So whether it's plural or adding ing, like they change. And they make exceptions when something happens. Their programs respond to what's happening on social media or whatever. They're like live programming. so it's true. I mean, they're doing crazy things. So test out what you're doing and see what the response is now. And that also gives you a little bit of feedback, because if you go, before our campaign, this word had X hits, and then after our campaign, this word had this many hits. You can judge that you've changed things. Or
I guess let's.
No.
there's an excellent website. We don't have any computers here. Called Clout, Klout, that will give you your social media ranking, and it basically does an analysis of your Facebook and Twitter popularity, kind of. And it gives you an idea of what kind of influence you've got and what kind of penetration you've got. So in terms of this stuff, it can give you certain strategies of what things to talk about and who to follow, because there's all of this. There's so much spam and garbage that all of this is flowing around. So to penetrate through that, you want your organization to become either an expert on a topic or someone that is known to address a certain community, or that is referenced by other specialists, right? And you can decide where you want to fit in the ecosystem, and Clout gives you tools to sort of evaluate where you are and evaluate who else is in your community that you can participate.
What is this?
KLOUT. It's a
KLOUT?
Yeah, if you Google it, I don't remember if it's .org or .com or whatever, but Google Clout, and it's a free service. You just enter your Twitter account or enter your Facebook account, and it'll kind of give you an evaluation of where you stand in the social media ecosystem.
There's a really good website, and they're also on LinkedIn and Twitter and Facebook, I'm assuming. That's called nonprofits.org, I think. But if you look for them on Twitter, they have a lot of resources on how to use it effectively for nonprofit organizations, and actually have like best practices here, and you can look up a lot of information on how to make it work for you and what your message is and stuff like that. Because it's a bit confusing if there's so many different communities and they use it so many different ways, but they really guide you towards what's good for a nonprofit. And then the question I had was what's the best way to evaluate the impact you're having with your social media?
Maybe what you were saying about using Clout. The way that I've always done it is basically to, like I was suggesting, setting up like a Facebook page and all that. If you use, well, at Commun-IT we like to use pwiki because it's the data. Okay, if you use a tool which measures the metrics of people hitting your site, you can actually see where they're coming from.
Okay.
So Google Analytics is one that's free. If you're with like Commun-IT, for example, we use pwiki, which we host, so Google doesn't keep all that data of your organization. We actually keep it on our servers, which is a little bit better.
Is that a pay service?
pwiki comes with your hosting, but Google Analytics is free.
Okay.
You have to add some code into your web page, and then basically what it does is it adds some tracking, and it'll figure out when you come from like Facebook, it will say 12 people today came from Facebook, and then you'll know, okay, I just deployed this campaign, and I just did this blog entry, and then now I got 120 people coming today. It will show where, it shows a map, it shows where they've come from around. So it's really good metrics. You can start seeing your impact.